Hey everyone, Trigonite here, back with another YouTube video, and today I'm going to be discussing a three-part series which contains my suggested armor pieces for each of the three races in Destiny. I'm going to start with what I main and solely play on, which is a Warlock. I run Stormcaller now with a 5-2-4 build, just to let you know. And I've been loving it ever since I started playing it. So there are a few pieces of exotic armor that I haven't unlocked. One head armor, 2 arms, and then the 3 class armors. Or 3 of the 4 class armors. So I'm going to go ahead and start by saying that the only cool thing about the class armors, unlocking those, is that you can pair them with another exotic armor piece, so it doesn't count as your one only exotic armor piece that you can run. But these 3 that I haven't unlocked are just for the factions, for Dead Orbit, Future War Cult, and New Monarchy, and they're not really, they're nothing special. They just increase your reputation with that particular faction. So the class armor is really not important. We're not going to touch on it much. The only thing I'd say is cool is this kind of bond, which helps increase your subclass. So at level 25, when you unlock your Stormcaller from 25 to 40 max level, you're able to actually chance getting your Stormcaller completely upgraded by running this bond. Other than that, it's really not useful, any of the 4, and not worth worrying about getting them. Moving on, we'll take down the legs first because there's only one of those. Transversive steps. Honestly, just faster movement speed while crouching and ammo pickups, automatically reload that weapon type. That is not even useful anymore, as with the new meta and the special economy, you automatically get your special ammo reloaded for you. So honestly, that's not even worth it. And the first part of this exotic perk, faster movement speed while crouching, that's kind of very futile. So it's not really worth it at all. So I would just say don't even worry about that exotic armor piece, as it's really not very good at all. Next, we got a chest piece, Alchemist's Remnant. And we got a chance to gain Glimmer on primary ammo pickup with full super, orbs, recharge, grenade, and melee. So it can be decent, but it's honestly not nearly as good as even any of the other 4 chest pieces, let alone when you consider arms and head. So I would say scratch it. It's not. You could really equip it to maybe farm Glimmer, but I'm guessing you're going to get a very small amount of Glimmer, so it's going to just be too tedious to try to do. And the recharging grenade and melee, it's nice perk, but it's not something that you really want to seek out this exotic for. Moving on, next we got Purifier Robes. This activates Radiance, disorienting the enemies. So when you activate Radiance from Death, you're going to disorient your enemies, which is going to basically just blind them. If you're right up trying to farm somebody, or you're sitting there hovering over in year 2 with a shotgun waiting for someone to self-res so you can sit them back down, this might throw you off, might make it harder. You might miss your shotgun shot and get raped instead. So it's happened plenty of times. Good players know exactly where to aim. So I've seen players try to activate Radiance using this while having this exotic equipped, and they still get res sniped. And then I've seen other times where people get thrown off because they didn't even realize that somebody was running Purifier Robes, and it throws them off. They miss the res snipe, and the person popping the Radiance was able to kill them, the person watching the res, and then move on to help push the other enemies as well. So it can be effective. I'm going to say it's much more effective in PvE, as PvE enemies are obviously not going to be able to defend it like PvP enemies would, so keep that in mind. But it's not a terrible exotic armor piece to run, but it's not my preferable choice for a Sunsinger, and that's going to be what it's used for. Moving on, we got Starfire Protocol, gaining an additional fusion grenade. Now there is a perk at the very bottom right of the Sunsinger's skill tree called Gift of the Sun. It gives an additional grenade. So with your initial one, plus the one from Starfire Protocol, plus the one from your skill tree, you'll end up with 3 fusion grenades. Fusion grenade's the number 1 grenade in the Crucible right now. It's the most scummy, crappiest grenade because it has an unbelievable amount of magnetism. It takes literally no skill to use, and it's as easy as running through shoulder charging people. It's seriously, if you use a fusion grenade and you try to brag about your kills, just stop, because you obviously don't know how to play this game, and you obviously don't know what true skill looks like, because something that has that much magnetism, that has tracked me when I'm completely behind walls. And honestly, it's not even the tracking that is the main problem with in my opinion, it's the speed. I can't have a one-on-one gunfight with someone and then like not honor this grenade and try to even just get one more shot off, I immediately, once I know they're throwing a grenade, have to dip back. And sometimes if I don't dip back far enough across the wall, it'll stick me like on the just the side of my shoulder and blow me up because it's a one-hit kill. And so can't wait for Destiny 2 where grenades are not going to be one-hit kills. Anyways, guys, that was my little rant about fusion grenades. If you want to play scummy, you want to have no respect for your opponents, then this could be an effective armor piece to run. I'll leave it at that. I would never run it because I don't want to disrespect my opponents to that degree. Next, we're going to go on to Void Fang Vestments. This is my favorite and most preferred chest armor piece. It is paired with the Void Walker subclass of the Warlock, and it is amazing because it enables you to run a max intellect strength build, getting your lifesteal melee back as well as your super Nova Bomb, and then you can have with every life, you basically, you spawn with a full grenade, so every time you spawn up, you have a full grenade, and Accent Bolts gain an additional Seeker. So it's paired with the Accent Bolt, which is the strongest grenade in the class. You don't need to run any discipline, but you can run like a 5-1-5 or 5-2-5, you can achieve it, and but you're still spawning with a full grenade every single time. So the only time that the discipline would even help you is if you're staying alive for a long period of time, getting your nade back multiple times per life. But Void Fang Vestments is my favorite chest piece. I ran it whenever I mained a Void Walker, and now I believe Rue might main it as well, or might run it as well now that he mains a Void Walker. So it's pretty awesome. I would definitely prefer it, and it is my #1 preferred chest piece. Alright guys, moving on to the last one, Heart of the Praxic Fire. This is my #1 preferred for the Sunsinger class. So none of these I have preferred for the Stormcaller. That's for the Void Walker, and this is for the Sunsinger. So when Radiance is active, increased agility and decreased ability cooldown. So when you pop your Radiance, if you don't pop it from death, you're going to obviously have it for a longer period of time. That's very, very effective in PvE, but you want to save it for PvE, and you want to run a Sunsinger because of the self-res, and in non-respawn areas of like raids and stuff, it could be very, very useful to be a Sunsinger, as it is the #1 subclass to run for Warlocks in PvE, and this just kind of adds to your effectiveness in raids and strikes when you're able to decrease your ability cooldowns as well as increase agility. It's pretty awesome. A close second I would say is the Purifier Robes, just because you can use that to disorient your enemies in PvE really well. Anyways, guys, moving on. So that was all of my chest pieces. I have 2 of my gauntlets that I have not unlocked. One is the Impossible Machines. I believe that sits right here, and all that does is grant landfall. It's paired with the Stormcaller subclass, but I now do not suggest that at all. If you're not familiar with what landfall is, it's basically a mini Fist of Havoc that the Stormcaller is able to unleash when he pops his super, and it can kill enemies that are like right up on him. So if I pop my super right up on 2 people, I'm probably going to kill both of them, and then I still have the ability to roam around and get more kills. However, with the recent sandbox patch at the end of March or beginning of April, whenever that came out, it was changed that when using landfall, paired with landfall, your storm trance will actually decrease by about 4 or 5 seconds, I believe it was. So I think it was actually like closer to 6. It was like 15 seconds down to like 9. So it's actually a very short duration anyways without running landfall. It's not anywhere near the amount of duration as the other roaming super that's dominant, which is the Sunbreaker's Hammers. So I wouldn't worry about running landfall, as it's not that effective depending on when you pop your super. You don't want to make it so situational where you have to pop your super up on top of someone in order to be effective, because when you pop your super, landfall is still going to proc whether people are up on you or not. That's just going to make it a decision whether it's effective or not, whether it's smart to run or not. So your duration is going to be decreased every single time whether people are up on you or not. So I wouldn't prefer running landfall, gauntlet, or Impossible Machines, as landfall is not a viable perk now in this meta. And then last we have the Sunbreakers gauntlets. The Sunbreakers it basically gives you increased duration of your solar grenade while gaining an additional solar grenade. So with that Gift of the Sun perk that I talked about when mentioning the fusion grenades, as well as the Sunbreaker gauntlets that sit right here, I believe, and then your additional grenade, or your initial grenade that you spawn with, you'll end up having 3 solar grenades, and solar grenades is probably the #1 grenade I prefer for PvE. Firebolt grenade is really good, but a solar grenade is just going to sit there basically looking like the sun over here, this radiant sun, and it's just going to trap and damage enemies inside of you, basically cooking them. So when you come up to big circles of enemies in PvE, you drop your solar grenade, and running this setup with Sunbreakers, Gift of the Sun perk, and your initial grenade, you're going to have 3 of them. So that's extremely useful in PvE and can really help you cause some damage. So that's a nice perk and probably my most preferred for a Sunsinger if you're going to run a gauntlet, exotic gauntlets. Next is Claws of Cara. We got an additional melee charge. Honestly, Lifesteal in the Voidwalker class, as well as, sorry, I'm not familiar with the name, Radiant Skin, maybe? No, sorry, Flame Shield. Flame Shield and Lifesteal are health regenerating melee charges. Lifesteal used to give you an overshield. Now it just gives you immediate regeneration of health. Flame Shield's supposed to do the same. However, I swear I've been killed by a Sunsinger. They got an overshield. Not exactly sure if they just missed that when doing a patch for the Sunbox patch and nerfing its Lifesteal, or if that was on purpose, or if I just missaw it and misread that amount of health regen that the Sunsinger got last weekend in Trials. Anyways, without going too far on that rant, we have Lifesteal and Sun, or whatever it's called. Flame Shield, right? Yeah, Flame Shield. So Lifesteal and Flame Shield are going to be health regenerating, so getting additional charge can be useful in that. And then the Stormcaller melee is the most famous melee in the game. Amplitude is absolutely the one you want to run. It gives your, honestly, I've meleeed people from well outside 5 meters, and it's just absolutely amazing to do. As if you pair it with the arc bolt, you can literally just proc and melee, walking around, easily putting enemies down. But I run a storm grenade because I feel like it's more versatile, and it's really good if you know how to use it in situations. It can be a very situational grenade, but a very effective one. And so anyways, guys, Calls of Cara is an additional melee charge. Considering Warlocks are known for their dominant melee ability, that is not a bad exotic to consider in PvP. As PvE, you want something a little bit more effective. I don't believe that it's going to be that effective. However, if I ran around with 2 Thunderstrike melees, I would feel pretty dominant. So sometimes I'm needing a second one, but the exotic armor piece I run, which will be one of the next ones I get to, I'll explain why I chose that over this. But Claws of Cara, to say the least, is not a bad choice. Moving on to second to last is Nothing Manacles, and enables scatter grenade tracking, gains an additional scatter grenade charge as well. So scatter grenade is a close second to the Axiom Bolt in the Voidwalker class. I believe that the scatter grenade is very, very dominant. It's actually a better version of what I run on my Stormcaller, which is the Storm Grenade. You kind of have to be right there where the Storm Grenade is placed when it procs to really take damage to it if you're the enemy. So if you're the one taking damage, you have time to get out of the Storm Grenade quicker than you do a Scatter Grenade. I have literally had a Scatter Grenade drop next to my feet, and I felt like I didn't have even a full second to get away before it just killed me, and it was one hit me before. So it's a very, very powerful grenade, and it's very effective if you know how to place it. Axiom Bolts are a little bit easier to use because you can throw them down, and as long as you're within a certain meter range, it'll track you. And then with Void Fang down here, it gains an additional Seeker, so it can track multiple enemies. But Nothing Manacles is really good if you choose to go the Scatter Grenade route rather than the Axiom Bolt route, and I would definitely prefer this as one of the top exotics, even over Void Fang Vestments, as if you're not running a Axiom Bolt, you're not getting a full effect of that exotic piece, and I would say that Nothing Manacles is a great choice if you're going to choose the Scatter Grenade. Last but not least, in the Gauntlets class is the one that I run out of every single exotic in this for Warlock, and that is the Obsidian aspect. I actually saw a lot of people running it, and I was like, that's weird. Why are so many people running this who are running Stormcaller? And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And it's improved energy drain, which is part of the Voidwalkers class, and then weapons ready and reload very quickly. So one of the most dominant perks in this game, one of the reasons why Blade Dancers were so prominent in year 1 and even year 2, were the ability for Quick Draw. Quick Draw is an extremely useful perk in this game, as it makes you quicker, able to kill faster, and just move quicker throughout the game, and moving through your tasks, and moving through faster than your enemy, thinking faster, shooting faster, readying faster, really ADSing faster, and that is what Obsidian aspect gives to me. So not only does it come with the increased melee speed, melee attack speed, as well as a grenade distance, but it also gives me the ability to ready my weapons faster and reload very quickly. So whenever I am pairing that with my where's that? Oh, here it is. where it is. There it is. Sorry. Pulse Wave. So when critically wounded, Pulse Wave will boost speed for you and your allies. So whenever I get tagged, immediately Pulse Wave triggers, I think for like 8 seconds, and I'm super fast. Moving around, it enables me to easily disengage from unfavorable engagements, and paired with this, if I need to reload, I can just boop, pop it in, reload really quickly, and honestly I find myself moving at what feels like a 3x, like 3 times faster than, if I were to just be running bare. So honestly it helps me because, my mind sometimes will run faster than I'm able to use on my sticks. My character won't be able to keep up with my next move that I'm thinking, and running this as well as Pulse Wave will really be able to help me enable that to be pretty side by side. So honestly, I feel like this is a very, very dominant exotic. It might be the most preferred exotic out of all the Warlock exotics, and I really, really, really prefer this over anything basically now. So also a great choice if you're running any of the three, because energy drain actually is improved with this as well, so it can only be better if you're running a Voidwalker. Okay, moving on to the last category, which is the helmets. There is one helmet I don't have, which is the Astrocyte Verse. Astrocyte Verse is just temporary increase to recovery on blink. So basically, it's only useful for the Voidwalker because that's the only subclass in the exotic tree or in the Warlock's race that has blink. So you have to be a Voidwalker. However, blink has now been nerfed to where if you blink, you lose your radar for like 2 seconds. So not even sure if that's something that's really important to you, but it can be. As if you lose track of where your enemy is and you're trying to blink to be more evasive, really it kind of is like your give and take. So you're going to be more evasive, but they're also going to be naturally more evasive as you don't know exactly where they are now. Anyway, so Astrocyte Verse is a decent exotic, but not a top tier exotic. I wouldn't really worry about running it, as the recent nerf to blink and the radar doesn't make it as an effective perk as it used to be. So moving on, we'll just say screw that, scratch it. The Stag. So once per life, fast supercharge when all teammates die, chance to spawn with Overshield. So the chance to spawn with Overshield, honestly I've never ran that, and I've never noticed how that is effective with trials. I don't think you'll spawn in with an Overshield, but maybe you'll be rezzed up with an Overshield. And once per life, fast supercharge when all teammates die. So if you're last alive a lot, you're doing a carry, something like that, maybe you might want to run this as your super will charge faster. But there are other exotics out there that I find more effective, so it's not the best choice. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. Moving on, the Ram gained additional armor, and Voidwalker melee attacks trigger lifesteal on hit. So that is actually very good. I believe that means that even if you don't have your lifesteal charged up, you don't have your melee charge for that, you'll automatically proc lifesteal when running the Ram. So the Ram is actually a top exotic to run with the Voidwalker if you're pairing it with that subclass. So definitely keep that in mind, as it can be very effective. Both of these I would say are much more PvP, but the Stag could be used in PvE as well. Astrocyte Verse I'd say is useless. I would just rule it as that. Obsidian Mine. Nova Bomb reduces the cooldown of the next Nova Bomb. I would say that, considering, unless you're just going the fuck off, I would say that Nova Bomb is not something that you're going to get multiple times at any super, really. It's going to be something you're going to get 4 or 5 times a game or something like that. You might get it at absolute most 3 times a game, but most people only get it like twice. If you're doing really bad, you might only get it once. But so it's not extremely useful in PvP. However, in PvE, when you're killing multiple enemies, you're getting super back fast. This could be something that helps you get it back super fast, because obviously a super is very effective in PvE. So I would say Obsidian Mine is something cool to consider running in PvE. Next is the Light Beyond Nemesis. It's my most preferred helmet exotic piece to run, and it's fast res armor. That's all there is to it, really. It's just supers generate an extra orb, so that's a little nice perk, but nothing super useful, and revive and can be revived faster. So that is the number one reason why you'll see this a lot in Trials of Osiris for fast res armor. If you're trying to get a res, it's going to happen probably twice as fast, approximately. So also is one of the coolest looking armor pieces, as I used to run it before I started running this Ophidian aspect. Look how sick that looks, so sick. And so that's probably my second favorite. Like I previously said, I think Void Fang Vestments makes it my top 3. Light Beyond as well as Ophidian Aspect does as my top 3 exotics for the Warlock. Alright, so moving on. Oh, and that can also be useful for PvE as well, but PvP is extremely useful in Trials and Elimination. Apophis Veil, so immediate health, melee, and grenade regeneration on activating your super. So this is something where, depending on what you're running, honestly, I mean, it can be useful across all three subclasses. But I would say that Radiance in PvE is going to be something, and PvP even, is something that it can be extremely useful in. I've seen it run throughout 3 different subclasses, but it's not one of the most popular exotics, so I can't say what I've seen it run the most on. So overall, it's a solid exotic armor piece. It's not something that's the best. It's not something that's like low tier or top tier. It's somewhere in the middle. It's, the only reason I would say it's not top tier is just because of the competition it goes up against. Like, I would rather have a fast res armor piece than immediate health, melee, and grenade regeneration on activating my super. Just because if I'm activating my super, I'm literally using my storm to go get kills. So unless I'm going to, like, for example, if I'm storming in a 6-on-6 and I get 3 or 4 kills with it or something, and I don't die, because a lot of the time Storm gets counter-supered by Smash or, even a Hammers or a Bow or, even a Blade up close or Goldie. So literally almost every single super can counter-super Storm. I just really enjoy using it and love it. And so let's say I don't get counter-supered by some grace of God, and I end up with 3 or 4 kills, and then I lose my super energy, so I'm back to normal, and I have immediate health for melee and grenade regeneration. That's nice. Only other thing that really helps me while popping my super is the immediate health, as I will be able to, if I pop it, I mean, Storm is not a stress super. It's not something to pop when you're, tagged, you're one shot, or even half shields at times, because you don't have any armor or any health regeneration, while popping your super without this. So unlike hammers where you can get health back, Hungering Blade where you can get health back, other supers where you can get health back like that, you don't have that perk in the Stormcaller skill tree. So Apophis Veil will help on that. But overall, I'd say it's a solid exotic. I'm not going to go too far and ramble more on it, but it's a solid exotic. All right, guys, and last but not least, Skull of Diorama Cara. We got take reduced damage while using Nova Bomb, so that'll help you from getting picked. A lot of the time, I find it extremely hard to pick someone unless they were one shot when they pop their Nova Bomb. Nova Bomb is a decent stress super. It's not as good as Fist of Havoc paired with Unstoppable, but it is a very good super that you can pop if you're in trouble. And if you're running this, that just makes it pretty much impossible to kill you when you pop it. And you also get improved energy drain ability. So I would actually say that this is probably the top exotic to run helmet-wise for the Nova Bomb. So if you notice, guys, throughout this, we have, if you run Accent Ball, Void Fang Vestments is terrific. If you run just Voidwalker in general, Skull of Diorama Cara is a terrific exotic choice. And then if you run Scatter Grenade, Nothing Manacles is a terrific exotic choice. This really doesn't help for any of the 3 classes, but the Voidwalker has something for all 3 different categories: helmet, gauntlets, and chest. That is very effective for a Voidwalker. This is pretty universal. This right here is pretty universal. That's even pretty universal. And yeah, so I'd say overall, my opinion of exotics for the Warlock are pretty useful. I enjoy them quite a bit. And yeah, so anyways, guys, thank you for watching. This has been quite a long video. Honestly, it would be close to an hour if I were to pair them all 3 together, which is why I'm splitting them up. In case you have no interest in learning about 2 of the 3 subclasses, you can go to the specific one you do care about, or race, and learn about that. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.